welcome to my channel. My name is Andrew Givler, and this is GivReads. I'm a YouTuber, booktuber, author. I still have never figured out what the correct order is, because I like to stay busy. This is a channel where we talk about reading, writing, book stories, the world of booking and authoring and things and everything in between that catches my interest. If you guys are new around here, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Those things really help. We're trying to get this channel off the ground. The more that happens early, the better it is for, well, I would say everyone involved, but mostly just me, and I'm greedy. So do me that solid. Today we're gonna cover the topic of AI being used for book covers. This is of course a really hot topic. There's a lot to unpack here. I did a conversation about the writer strike a week or two ago, and a couple people noticed that I sort of glossed over some of the issues that the Writers Guild was bringing. Was that they wanted AI banned to not be replacing writers' rooms, and I didn't talk about that. I talked more about fair wages and streaming and how that's disrupted royalties and things like that, and we didn't really cover it. I had a bunch of comments saying, hey, I'd love to know what you think about AI, and I wasn't really eager to talk about it, but then a whole bunch of drama went down this weekend. If you didn't see it, like on Twitter and stuff, there was a whole bunch of drama that went down in SPFBO, which is not like a certain type of sunscreen to protect you from the sun. It's actually the self-published fantasy blog off. It's one of the bigger, more prestigious writing competitions. What are they even called? Awards that self-published books can win. It's a vertical exists only for self-published books, and it's for self-published authors. I was actually hoping to enter this year. I didn't realize how quickly they would fill up. So the guy who runs it, first of all, is an author that I quite enjoy, a traditional author who really wants to help self-publish grow. His name is Mark Lawrence. You guys should go drop him a follow. He's a book that just came out called The Book That Wouldn't Burn that's getting great reviews. It's on my to-be-read list, my TBR, and I will talk about it at some point, but I really enjoy Mark's work, and I really appreciate Mark shining this light and being sort of a beacon to help self-published authors get more recognition. They hold this competition every year. It's a whole bunch of like the big review blogs come together. They take a bunch of entrants. They divide it up between everybody. Everybody brings a finalist forward, and then there's a vote. And it's really cool. It's really neat thing to do. I was hoping to enter Soul Fraud this year, but Mark lives in England. They opened the like submitting times at like 1 a.m. my time, and apparently they had 300 entrants in 40 minutes, and then they closed it. So when I woke up, hopped on to apply, it was already closed. Next year I'm staying up all night to make sure I can apply, because I think this is great, and I'd love to, you know, stick Soul Fraud in there. But regardless of me not being able to get in, it's not a big deal. It's not really important. Just more that like this is something I'm interested in, that I care about. There was a bunch of drama because one of the things that they do in this competition is they also did a cover contest, which was sort of a secondary thing, like best cover in the show kind of thing. But the primary thing's about the writing, but they thought it was fun to show off cool covers, especially in like self-published, where sometimes covers are great, sometimes they're not. It's all over the place. So highlighting exceptionally good ones is a great way to help up and coming artists also get recognized. Great stuff. Here's where the drama began. Basically, the winner of the SPFBO art contest, the cover contest, was then accused of using AI. Now, when you submit, apparently you do have to say whether or not your book uses AI in any shape or form, and the author said it did not. And after it won, a whole bunch of graphic design people came forward and said, hey, that book was made using AI. We're going to dive into it a little bit, cover the drama, but I want to say like 2 or 3 things before we start. Number one, all of the situation was handled, I think, beautifully by Mark. It's a real shame that Mark's doing this like lovely thing for everyone, and that people lied. Oops, spoiler, I guess that's where we're going with this, and wasted his time and added stress, and people were like dogpiling him on the internet, and like none of that is okay. Really isn't. We should be grateful that we have people who want to participate in the self-published community. We should not be witch hunting them. Number 2, people ask me what my thought about AI is. I haven't thought about it too much yet.
To find Flanders, I just have to think like Flanders. I'm a big four-eyed lame-o, and I wear the same stupid sweater every day, and
I have similar concerns to everyone else. Right now, I don't think that AI is at a point where it can write in a way that is competitive. I'm not personally worried about it fighting me in this moment. I'm worried about it maybe in the future, or I'm watching it, right? I do think that it is a much more real danger to graphic design, especially with the way that the AI is being trained, where a lot of them are just scrolling through the internet, taking artists' work without paying them for it, using it to train the model, and then outputting something built off their expertise. That's troublesome. I'm not a fan of that. I am glad that AI work can't be copyrighted. I do think that's an important thing that should continue to exist. And I want to support artists. My books are all made, to my knowledge, by real artists using their own skills, not by AI generation. There may come a point in time where, you know, some hybrid stuff I don't hate to some degree, but I truly don't know, and it's not like a firm line in the sand. A lot of tools can be really powerful to help you do a lot of things, right? If somebody needs a flock of crows in the background and they draw one, and then they tell AI to like, hey, take my style of crow and make 12 variations of it and put it behind it. Do I hate that? I don't know. But that's like a minuscule thing versus somebody who's not a graphic designer who just says, you know, generates something in Midjourney or whatever, builds a cover, sells it, and kind of like takes that expertise away. Definitely not a fan of that. Would I use AI to write like a chapter for me? No, I wouldn't. But also that's because for me, part of the joy is the process is like the making of the thing. From a competitive standpoint, if somebody else didn't enjoy the making of the thing and they just wanted the thing, there's so much better things to do with your time, by the way. Like, it's so hard to make a living writing that if like you don't like to write, go do another job. Seriously. But you know, if somebody just generated a book in AI, pulling like the same way from sources that are not paid for and I've not admitted or not admitted, but like agreed, consented to this particular sort of thing, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. And I don't think it's the same thing. Much like in soul fraud, I think art requires soul. Like, that's something that I truly believe. So even if something can mimic art, I don't think it's quite the same thing. The cover in question was quite cool. Apparently there's a lot of artifacts and stuff. I'm not an expert in this. That really gave it away. But like stylistically, I really like it. It was really neat. I'm very bummed for the author, who appears to have had no idea that this was the case, right? They hired somebody that they knew. They worked with them. The person did this, didn't tell them, got them in this trouble. We're going to go through that a little bit. I definitely think that the sort of most applicable use of AI right now, which is like sort of creating graphic design for people who can't do graphic design, is troublesome, because I think that's an important skill and I don't think it should be taken away, especially when the people who are contributing to its skill to replace themselves aren't being paid for that. Like, I don't like that at all. Also, I say this even as somebody who wishes they could draw, wishes they could make art. I think that there's something very tempting, and I understand, to being able to go to something and describe what you want and then have it make it and then work with it. At the same time, I get that same joy out of working with another artist, and I find that we have much more common ground. We can talk about style, I can send examples, we can go back and forth, we can do something. That's like the process we do for every thumbnail that I have on YouTube, every book cover that I've worked on. That, even though I don't make it, I'm still a contributing part to it. I still feel like I leave a little bit of myself in it too, and that brings me joy. I wish I could make really cool book covers, but I like do not have the thing. My brain does not work that way. I could never do it. So AI could allow me to sort of overcome this, but I don't think that would be right, and it's not something that I plan on doing, or at all. I've been gesturing so much during this video that my Apple Watch just told me I set a new exercise goal. It's new, okay, but still, it's not the exercise record. That's troubling. Okay, anyway. Not only did Mark get a lot of crap over this, which is something he didn't really have any control over or knowledge of, so did the author. Now, of course, the author, I think, originally was like much more emphatic, standing by his artist because he believed his artist, and the artist went to great lengths to try to hide this, right? So the first thing that came out was Mark reached out after people started to accuse the book of being generated by AI, and he said the artist winner of the SPFBO contest provides a ton of words, images, and a Photoshop file to demonstrate he isn't lying, okay? They've taken down the thing now, but basically he had a bunch of stuff where he showed like examples that he had looked up of like Googling like kind of edgy dudes in trench coats, sketched a bunch of them together from like a couple different ideas, put them together, sent it out, got some refinement, then like made the different assets, put it together, and put it into the book, right? And it looked pretty good, especially for me who doesn't know how to use Photoshop. I was like, okay, that checks out. And I don't know much about what I'm looking for with AI in terms of like, I know the hands can be like bad and maybe like the lips, but neither of those seemed bad or were like really featured. I don't know anything. I don't know enough to know, right? Especially when this is like a contest judged by literary critics. Who knows enough to know, right? But here's what's funny. And turns out in the Photoshop file, the guy forgot to rename the original source that he got from Midjourney. So when you get a Midjourney photo, apparently it basically just like saves it as like your prompt.jpg or whatever, right? So the sketch, like the foundational sketch that he claimed to have, literally had the Midjourney prompt, which people then just took and put in Midjourney, and it literally came up with the exact same image. Pretty like ironclad proofing. Then the author said that the artist, then after people found that, the artist stopped responding to him, has just gone completely dark. So now he's found out that like the situation, he completely like not recanted, but was just like, okay, I was clearly wrong. Like I trusted this guy, but I shouldn't have. I'm very sorry. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about this, which is devastating. Of course, I feel for the author who've essentially paid for something that he cannot copyright. I don't really know how well he can use it. I don't know what the legal ramifications of that are. Even whether or not he should use it, it's not cheap, right? So especially for self-published authors, like that's eventually a double price to publish a book, which has, I think it's his first book, there's not a lot of guarantee that's going to be checking out. So honestly, dude's going through a really hard time. This is going to be a problem for a while. This has happened even recently with major publishers. So this isn't something that's just happening here in self-published, but something we're gonna have to keep our eyes out for. So Tor recently published a book that also had AI art on the book cover, which they claim to not know. It was called Fractal Noise. It's actually by Christopher Paolini. It's also on my TBR because one, Christopher Paolini is a defining author for me growing up. I want to see what he's working on now. Two, it's getting really good reviews, and three, I'm always looking for good new sci-fi. But apparently you can see the cover on the left was then adapted from this thing on the right, which is what some art house made for them. And apparently Tor said something along the lines of, hey, we didn't know, we've worked with this art house before, they provided the art, they used AI without telling us. A little too late for us to do anything now, because when machines like this start moving, especially in a full publishing mode, everything costs more and has more moving parts. So they ended up keeping it because it was too late. They couldn't redo everything and still get the book out when it was promised out and things like that. Contractually, they were set to do. And I understand, right? That sucks. They Tor was basically like, you know, hey, we've championed creators in the science fiction fantasy community since our founding, and they're going to continue to do so. We didn't know about this, and da 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 da. But so, not to point a light on indies, because this can really happen to anybody. It's something that we have to keep our eyes open for. It's definitely the part of AI that I'm the most uncomfortable with right now. I understand the concern about it eventually getting into writing, but I think that it's going to be a little while before that happens. But I could be wrong, because I don't really know how this stuff works. I'm just figuring it out. I know that there's like the guy who's been around who's like, I wrote 97 AI books or whatever, but apparently some of them are like 5,000 to 10,000 words, which is not actually, those are novellas, barely. I don't think that it could really truly write a novel that can compete yet. So for me, I'm not as worried about that in this moment, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. Once again, shout out to Mark Lawrence, because he does an incredible job with the SPFBO. Unfortunately, because of all this controversy, he's announced that there will not be a cover contest next year. So Sulfuron's new cover won't get a chance, I guess. Shout out to my new cover artist, Chris McGrath. Sorry, buddy. Number two, I feel for the author of Bob the Wizard, MV Prindle. Like I said, I believe this is his first book. It sounds like a really cool urban fantasy novel, so I've actually purchased it. I'm going to be checking it out. I want to support him because I know he's going through a tough time, especially if he does have to replace his cover, knowing how much that could cost. He's probably going to need some sales to help him do that. So I wanted to help him out and be supportive. I will link him down in the description below. If it sounds like your kind of urban fantasy, it looks like a fun, gritty time to me, go check it out. Yeah, so that's a quick little touch on some AI drama, my thoughts on AI, and maybe we can put that to rest for now. I'm sure more stuff will come up, but that's what's in the news, so I thought we would touch on it a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. I'd love to hear what you guys think, what you guys don't think. Well, no, I want to hear what you guys think. I don't know what that means. In the comments down below, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys again real soon in another video.